That's right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are unearthing Pokemon buried treasure. I know you've all seen the Pokemon alt arts, the Southern Islands cards, the Pokemon Illustrator card video, and some of you even the Pokemon Snap contest cards from back in the day. But today I have some cards for you guys that are just as unique as those ones, but even seasoned Pokemon fans won't know what they are. These days, most Japanese cards make their way to the international release, whether it be through promos or exclusive deck sets. There really aren't many that slip through the cracks. In the past, this really wasn't always the case. So most of the cards we're going to be going over today are Japanese. This is the first card, Nobunaga's Rayquaza. That's right, this is a shiny Rayquaza. But who is Nobunaga and what is this logo? Well, in Japanese history, Oda Nobunaga was known as one of the great unifiers of Japan during the Meiji period. What does it have to do with Pokemon, and why does he have a shiny Rayquaza? Well, Nobunaga's Ambition is a strategy game created in the 80s where you build up armies and take over nearby lands, and it's based on your boy Nobunaga. So, they actually created a crossover game between Nobunaga's Ambition and Pokemon called Pokemon Conquest, which plays like a Nobunaga's Ambition, but it's Pokemon themed. Don't get me wrong though, this game is fucking sick. It has an amazing art style that you would expect from a Pokemon exclusive. The main objective of Pokemon Conquest is to unify the Ransei region. And the main villain, the main guy who is doing the same thing as you and you are competing directly against in this game is your boy Nobunaga himself. But he has a Zekrom? It turns out with the power of plot armor, your character defeats Nobunaga and unifies the Ransei region. But Nobunaga ain't no bitch. He literally said, "You've activated my trap card." Dude had this planned all out. He had shiny Rayquaza as a secret weapon the whole time, and it took the main character getting with Arceus himself to beat him. What a legend and what a card. Between the Gen 2's Neo series and Gen 3 is a beloved series, E-Series, with some of the most expensive and iconic cards to ever exist. But what if I told you that there was another series from that time period that was just as fantastic and Japanese only and rare? Number 2, the Versus series. The Versus series sticking with the OG's Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge where you had gym leaders and their Pokemon. Versus series not only does the same thing for Gen 2, but it also brings back some Gen 1 favorites as Elite Four members and Team Rocket cards. That's right, these are the original Team Rocket Beast cards. Believe me when I say this set was not holding back on anything. It had starters, legendaries, pseudo-legendaries, signature item cards, and to top it all off, amazing art styles that compare to some of the most beloved of all time. Number 3 is Pokemon movie promo cards. Back in around Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4 time, they actually used to make cards based off the movies in special sets that featured the Pokemon from the movies and sometimes their trainers as well. For example, Ash's Torkoal, Rafe's Blaziken. There's been some seriously legendary cards to come out of these sets, such as the 11th movie set featuring a folder that pieces all the cards together, and all of these are just dope holos with some of your all-time favorite legendaries. There's the extremely expensive Latios and Latias holos from the 5th Pokemon movie, Pokemon Heroes. It's an E-Series design, and it was one of the most expensive cards of its time. And then there's this, the Deoxys Lenticular. This is one of a kind. This card is from my favorite movie, the second movie from Generation 3, Pokemon Destiny Deoxys. So the story behind this card was that during the movie, Deoxys was abusing his form-changing abilities during his fights with Rayquaza. And he was doing good too, but not before this happened.
Oh shit!
So, to commemorate this movie, the mad lads at the Pokemon Company designed this card that shows off all of the Deoxys forms. Number 4, the art competition cards. We've all seen some sort of fan illustration cards, such as the original series where they had Snorlax, not to mention the most expensive card of all time, the Pokemon Illustrator card. Nowadays, the Pokemon Illustrator card competitions are a bit different than they used to be. Through the power of the internet, there are thousands of talented people submitting pro-level drawings like it's nothing. But over the years, and especially in the early days of Pokemon, there used to be a bunch of Japan-only competitions. Most of them were aimed at kids, and there were specific age ranges you had to be in for these submissions. Consequently, there's been some really rare cards to come out of them. For example, the 2009 Pokemon Design Contest. Remember the Pokemon movie commemoration cards we just talked about? This one, fans were asked to remix the Arceus and the spiky-eared Pikachu cards from the Arceus Jewel of Life movie. The thing about these cards is the winners got a number of their cards, and that was it. It was completely exclusive to them, and they were able to distribute them how they felt like. There was also the Pokemon Art Academy competition, where people actually submitted their art through the game as part of the competition, and the artwork for these were fantastic. This was another one where the winners received a number of copies of their card themselves, and that was it, making them extremely rare. People really liked the Pokemon Snap competition. The 2010 competition was really similar to the 2009's, only this time it was centered around Zoroark and Zorua. There's also a bunch of other awesome contests. Number 5, the Game Boy promos. Some of you might be thinking that you know these, you don't know all of them. Ones you might know were released as Black Star promos like the Dragonite, Flying and Surfing Pikachu, the Black Star Arcanine. The Game Boy promos were released to promote the Game Boy Pokemon TCG card games. Only the second one was available in Japan. Some of my favorites are this Lugia card, which is absolutely beautiful and is also really expensive. And there's Great Rocket's Mewtwo. Both the Lugia and the Great Rocket's Mewtwo came together with the game. And the thing with these cards was all of these arts also had an 8-bit crossover in the game. They mimicked those cards. There are a few more cards in the game that actually aren't in the Game Boy promo set. Some of them, like the Magikarp and the Gengar here, they actually released in the Pokemon web set, which is even more rare. Those are the top 5 amazing Pokemon cards that you've never heard of. Thanks for watching.